Hello friends and everyone, welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. I am Frederick and I'm happy to have you here today. In this video, we are going to talk about advancing our chat application that we started in the first video. So if you haven't checked this out, then please do check it out. Check the video description, you're going to find it in there. So we are building a chat app using .NET 8, Blazor with interactive WebAssembly render mode. Okay. Yeah, the name sounds confusing. So it is .NET 8 Blazor web app with interactive web assembly. So that is what we have started. So check the video description for the first video. Now in the first video, you could see that we're able to create our connection and our hub. We're able to call this method and our chat was working. But we had an issue that it needs to be improved. That is, when sending a chat, we want to rather handle it with a model. And let's also see if we can optimize the code that we have written. We can create a class as a service to be used in our chat application. Alright, so before we dive right into this, make sure you have subscribed to this channel and now hit on that bell to receive updates as soon as I upload new content. Give this video a thumbs up if you learned something here. Also, I do offer coaching to people who are interested in Blazor, or let me say that not technologists, talking about Blazor, WebAssembly, Server, Mari, Blazor Hybrid, and etc. Okay, so, and Web API is very important. Okay, so if you're interested, check the video description and you're going to find an email in there. You can write to me through it. Alright. The source code of this project will also be available. So if you want to grab it, check the video description and it's going to be possible, available as well. Alright, so that is it. Let's dive into it. Here we can add the models here. But you know, we have this client project, we have the server projects, and maybe later on we can decide to add more models. We want to organize our work. So it's better that we add a class library so we can add them to each of the projects, okay? And we can add that model in there. Or maybe you can also add it in the clients, and well, you can do that. So let's go solution, right click on the solution name, let's click on new project. And maybe for this, I'm going to add a class library, and maybe this is going to be only models. Okay, so chat models. So this chat model, here I'm going to make it as chat or chats. Maybe chat will be okay. So once you have this chat, what else are we going to do? So we're going to pass in some properties here, test, username, and our message. So instead of this test, we can make here as that's our message. You see, we need to include component models, the data annotation, so we can make them required. We can restrict it whilst using this, creating an instance of this. Okay, so now that we are done, we can just go in straight ahead to the server section, right click on dependencies, and add project reference, and quickly that is a model, so you have to add this. You also do the same thing to the client. From the dependencies, right click on it, go to add project references, and then here get it done. You see, so we are sharing this between the two projects. And when it comes to the pages, chat page, in here, okay, watch out. So instead of creating all this, we're going to remove everything from here. I'm going to say that this is message. Oh, is it message? Nope, this is chat. So private chat. So using chat model. And now here we're going to say that it's a chat, and this equal to new. You see, this is very simple. Now let's grab this. So here, instead of passing on this long one, no, we're going to now replace it with this. You see, that is a model, very simple one. But from this, we need to specify the data type. So once you have this is the t value, so let's specify this t here as the chat. This is a model, and that is an object. So we don't need this anymore. Or do you think we need this? No, we don't. So let's get rid of that. So all that we need to do here is messages.add the chat. And we are done. But this is giving us error. Why? Because of this. So let's make it as a list of chat. Error solved. You see? So we are optimizing this. Aside from that, when you come here, we can say message in chat. Let's here, these are messages, or we can make this as chat. Okay, so it becomes more readable to you and I. So chat, and now here message or chat in chat. What can we do in here to actually set this straight? We are going to modify this. So instead of having this here, we can replace it with this very simple one. So Control KD, we format it well. So chat in chat. So chat in chat. Yeah. So in here, you're gonna say chat, message, then chat. So this is coming from the message property, and that is all. So you can see we have the date, we break it, we have the username, we break it, then we have the message. Well, you can customize it the way that you want to suit what you want. It's just a demo, and you can build upon this. Also, aside from that, when we come here, instead of having this input text box, we can get rid of this, isn't it? So let's get rid of this one from this and that. Get rid of this, and we're gonna replace it with a very simple one as well. And this we can use edit form. You see? So we're gonna use an edit form here, and now let's clear this. Okay, we have an error. Why? Because this is chat. Okay, now send message, we can still navigate to the same send in here. Okay, but we're going to create a method for that. So let's say there's a message, and now we have a username, we have the message. You know, this is not just a test, it is rather message. Then we have this button as what? Submit. Since it's an edit context or edit form, you have to have a submit type. Username placeholder, these are the placeholders that we need for each. Okay, now here it still maintains, or we can, from this section, we can actually do the same thing. Okay, so let's maintain as it is. Connected or disconnected. And now with this, maybe we can implement this font weight as bold. Okay, now this method, let's implement this. Now to change this, we want to actually, we are not getting from the database, so we want user to type in the name once, and we don't want the user to type in all the time, typing your name all the time, typing your name. So you want to actually catch the name that the user stores or types in. So next time the user want to chat again, we have the name already. Okay, this is just a feature that I'm introducing. You can also introduce your own. All right, okay, you can also follow this as well. Okay, so aside from having all this, what else can we do again? We're going to have the send message. So you see this, instead of having all this, we're going to remove this one, make it as a void, and our send message, we're going to check if this chat.username is null, then assign it to the store username. Okay, and here we must pass in this message in here, the chat in here as a model. That's what we are doing. Now, aside from having all this, if I click on send, we have to write definition for this method. If I submit, this method gets fired. So send chat or send message to chat clicked, and we're going to write definition for this. So we are saying that we want to set the date time is equal to day.now. So we set the instance in here because we clear that one over here. I believe you've seen that. Yes. So when you come here, we have to set it. And now this is no more my message, it's rather what? Good, chat. It's good that you are following. You can just grab this and now message the username. So we're checking if the username is not equal to null. It means user type in the new one. Then you want to store it in here. So chat.username. Okay, so that this, so the first time the user types in the name and I'll send it, we're going to have access to this. We're going to store it here. The next time we check, is the username equal to null? No, it is not, because we have the name typed already. And in there, we're going to assign it. So when you click on send, before we check if the username here is equal to null, then what we have installed already, please assign it to it and then go. So using nullable, okay, this is a correlation operator, I think so, correlation operator also. All right, then aside from that, we say chat.message is equal to null. So the next time we want to clear only the chat. Very simple one. Okay, so this is all that we need to do for this. Okay, but one thing left. Do you know? Go to this method, send message. I believe you've done that correction already. Good job. If you haven't done it, then let's go to the Netcode-Hub. We want to get rid of all these guys in here, and I want to maintain it, replace it with what? Chat, and I will say this is chat. Grab this chat, and now instead of all this, we're going to clear this and now pass on here. The first one and this one, which one? It's simple. I think you go for this one, isn't it? Yes, I also go for this. Okay, now we're going to save this in here, and now let's try to run this again, and now check it out. So this is ready, and now let's click on chat and check it out. So chat, and it's going to open. So we have it here. You can see this is a nice one that we have built, chat connected, and now type in your name. So Netcode-Hub, Netcode-Hub, and I'm going to say hello. So before I type in hello, I'm going to grab this, go to the next page, and I'll paste this and I'll switch it in here, and I can. Okay. So I have in this, that's Netcode-Hub, and now here I'm going to say this is Fred. So let's wait for the response. So send. You can see we have it. So we have the date in here, we have the name, and we have the message. Let's respond. So hi. We have it. So you see we have this the card, and then we have this page beneath. So I can type in how are you. Now you can see that here we don't need to pass in the name again. It has been cached already. Check it. So all you thing that you do is pass in here. It's because that we are not having authentication attached to this. Okay, that's the reason why we have to we have to manually store this. So how are you? I'm fine, sir. It's all the time. Make sure being being respectful, polite is the key. Okay. So please, how are you too? Okay, so please, I'm fine, sir. Okay, so send it, and I can see we can actually chat here. When you extend the next page, you can also do same. So we've been able to customize our UI and also the code itself to simplify this and put everything in a model that we can implement. Okay, now let's see what is the next thing that we can actually do to implement or to modify this chat system that we are building. So this time around, I don't think this is good. When you check, we have our UI in here as a result component, and in there beneath we have all the code, the connection, hub connection, creating, and etc. There might be that there might be a time that you want to actually increase or add some features to the system. And now currently what we have about line 78. So this could increase the number of codes on this file. Okay, so it's better that we extract all the necessary ones and create them as a service. Now when you create as a service, we then have to register it, and we can use a service in here. I think this is the best way. So let's try to create a service for this and see what we can do. So in the, you can see that we created service in here, not a service, a project, class library as a chat model. So this is going to contain all our models. The next thing here that's going to do is, the service that we're going to create is going to be used by only the client. So there's no need for us to put it inside the class. We can put it within this. So right click on the client. We're going to create a new folder to this, and we can set this client services or chat services, etc. So let's say this is chat services. Inside this folder, we're going to create a class here and name this class as chat service. So chat service. So we have this service in here. Now, what is the first thing to do as far as this service is concerned? You know, when you go through the chat page, we have our connection string. Is it a connection string? Or yes, hub connection. Now, this hub connection, as soon as the page initializes, we are building the hub connection. We specify the nav manager, and we are linking straight to the URL that we specified in the server section. Okay. Aside from that, we want to register for a receive method. So as soon as I click on a message or a sending message, this message has been registered already, and we can retrieve it, and I'll pass in the content that we need. Okay. Aside from receiving, when it's accepted, we're going to add it to the chat list that we have in here, and we're going to invoke it so we display it on the screen. Okay. So let's first of all create a class. Now within the class constructor, we want to initialize this as soon as the page loads initially. Okay, so the same thing as here, we want to load inside the page constructor, and now we can create this as a single method that we can call when the page initializes, and we can call this and now this together. Okay, then the same method too, we can also do that. And here we're not going to use this invoke async method again. We're going to use an action whereby you're going to subscribe to that event, and as soon as anything gets fired, the page which I subscribed already also will get re-rendered, and I'm going to see the current context or the current data on the screen. So once you have this client service created, the first thing we're going to do here is we need to set up our action method. And now the first thing is we have our action as invoke chat display. You can give it a name at all, make sure it is nullable. Aside from that, we want to retrieve the chat list from the service, so we want to have our service in here. So we have our list of chats, and in here we have to bring in the chat.models namespace. So that's our chat. Now let's create a read only for this hub connection. So set this as hub read only for the hub connection. So the hub connection that we created, we initialize it inside the chat page. That is what we are bringing it in here. Okay, so you have this hub connection, and we need to create from the very onset when the page is being called or this file is being called. You know, we have to create constructor for this chat service, and now you pass in navigation manager, and now in that we can get the navigation manager to absolute URI, as you can see from the previous ones. Then we build this. So when we build this is going to be built when we create a constructor for the page, okay, for this chat service. That's where we call all this. Aside from doing this, we need to create a single method here to receive message, and now this message or this method receive the message. You know, when you check this chat, when you check our chat hub, we have this receive message as a method, and now you pass in this. So you have to create a way to retrieve or to receive a message from this method, and that is exactly what we are doing in here. Okay, so receive message, and that is a method in here, and now in that we add the chat to the list that we have already. Then we invoke the display, because here chat has been changed, chat has been added to the list that we have already, so we have to update it or invoke it so we can see the current context or the current chat being added. Then the last one left here is to start the connection. So after receiving the chat, binding this, and I'm making all the methods available in here, we have to start the connection. So let's have another method here to start connection, and that is the start connection async. So in here, have connection.start. Then we need to create a property value for is connected, which is a Boolean expression. We can put it on top here. So you can see that this is solved. And if I click on send chat, we're going to move that method from the UI to this place. So send chat, we call this method, and now in here we pass in the chat model. Okay, so the chat model is going to send it, and now when it gets to this received, we're going to pass the same chat model to the received, and now it's going to be added to the list that we have in here. So it's like it goes in there and now it returns. So when returning, it's going to add to this list, and I'm going to display it on the screen. You see? Good. Now this is the service that we need to create. Now we're going to consume this, but first of all, let's go to the program. Now in here we have to register the service, so build out the services. Dot add, this is going to be scope. Then let's say this is chat service. We did not create interface, so we need only one. Let's grab this also. Let's go to the server. And now paste it in here. So before the build, paste it in here. So chat service, it is consumed from the client service, so that's fine because defaultly the server has a page or a project reference of the client. So anything that you want to reference in the client, it is possible. But if you want to reference anything from the server to the client, it is not. Okay, this is possible because you have the service inside the client, and if you don't register this, you're going to have an error because anything that must go through the client must pass on the server first. Okay, we have this. Now let's go to the chat page, and now all the lists that we have in here, we're going to clear everything. Okay, maintain and leave only the chats. So let's leave this, the hub connection. We're going to clear this, and we're going to clear this as well. So let's clear all from here. So it is no more. We have only the chat and the stored username. Okay, so in here, what can we do? We have to inject this chat service. So let's put it on top. And we say this inject chat service. We say this chat service. And this chat service is coming from the namespace of this. We don't need the nav manager because you're not using it. Copy the chat service, and now from the list of chats you can get from the service. Also from this we can get from the service. Then that is also here we have the list we get from the service, and also this checking state or the Boolean expression, which tells you if the connection is well established or not. Just to get it. Now with this method, what can we do? We can just create a page lifecycle method, and that's the initialize async. And in that we subscribe to this, but before we subscribe, we have to implement disposable interface. So on top we have to add that. Okay, now we have to implement the interface in it. That's the reason why we're having the error in that. So in our page, when the page loads, we are subscribing. Now when the page disposing, we want to unsubscribe from this, and it must come from the page dispose method. So dispose, then we unsubscribe from this. If I click on send message, what do I want to do? I want to send a message and call the send chat service. That's from the chat service, and I'll pass in the model. Okay, So this is all that you need to do. Very simple one. Yes. So all that you need to do here is to create a service, and I'll consume the service in there. All right. Now I think it's okay. Let's save this. Let's build this and check it out. All right. So the app is ready. Now let's click on chat. Now let's see. So we are in. We're going to open another interface from this page. We have this. We can extract. Let's extract this too. As you know, Netcode-Hub. So connected. Netcode-Hub. This time writes Netcode. So I'm going to say hi Fred, and now this is going to be Fred, and now I'm going to say hi Netcode. So each they are exchanging what? Hi. Now let's initialize this first. So we have it, hi Fred. Then if I click on send, hi Netcode. Because it is working, isn't it? Exactly, it is working. Okay, so we've been able to implement a class, a simple class, to cut out everything from the UI, and now we have it in a service that we can inject it. We create dependency injection, and now we are using it. So what you're going to do next here is to save the chat to database and also retrieve the chat from the database and display it on the screen. So in order to do that, we have to install some packages, framework call .tools, and now we're going to use an SQLite database. Okay, so let's quickly do that. And we have our server, then we have our client. This is going to happen in the server. So these are the steps that we need to do first. We have to first install our packages. After that, we have to create a connection string. We create our AppDB context class. We register the connection string. We perform migration. We create our repo. Then we expose controller. We create our endpoint that we can get it saved, and I retrieve the list. Very simple. Okay, so let's keep this going. Now right click on the dependencies, or even when you have it here, I have these packages installed already, so just install them. Framework call .sqlite, and now tools. So install these 3 packages. When we are done, let's start with our connection string. So go to appcertain.json, and now in here we are adding a connection string, and now the default connection here, it is what? Data source is equal to my chat.db. Since we are using an SQLite, that is how we're supposed to specify, because it's going to create a file which is going to be attached to our system. Okay, so once you're done, then let's go to program.ts file and I'll register this connection in there. So here we're going to say that builder.services.addb contest, and let's pass in this appdb contest, but we have not created the appdb contest yet. Okay, so let's go to solution, right click on the chat, let's add a new folder to this and name it as data. Inside this, we need to create our appdb contest class. So we said it's an appdb context, and now since we have framework call installed, we can inherit from db context. Okay, now in here we can create constructor for this, or we can use this one. We can just clear this. We can use constructor and pass in this options. Let's specify the db context class. By length here we can use primary constructor, very simple one. Aside from that, we can use db set. Let's pass in our chat model, and now with the chat model we need to include the namespace, and this is chats. Okay, now when we are done, let's go to the program and I register this. So appdb contest, then we need to specify the options, So option.use SQLite. Oh, it's supposed to be O. See? So dot use SQLite. Then what we need to do here is to pass in the configuration dot get connection string. And now what is the name of the connection string? That is the default. Okay, so let me put this to the next line. So we have this here. You see that, so appdb contest, then I will pass an option.use an SQLite, and in that we are specifying the configuration of the connection string in the very simple one. You see? Okay, so now that we are done here, what's the next thing to do? We can perform database migration. Let's try that and see. But before that, let's build this project and check it out. So we're going to build the server project. Right click on this, build project. So succeeded. Now let's click on package manager console. Let's set the server to startup project, and our package manager console, we're going to add migration. So add migration, let's make it as first. Now let's update the database. I think database spelled wrongly, so we're gonna have an error in that. Let's see. Yes, we know it already. Don't worry. Let's do it again. Yeah, so it is done. Now let's create a repo for this. So right click on this, we're going to add a new folder to this, and we're going to say this is repos. Let's right click on this and add a class. Now this class is going to be, let's say, chat repo. Now this chat repo, let's use primary constructor, which was introduced in C# version 12, and we're going to say this is appdb contest. Then let's create a public async task or save chat async, and now you pass in this chat, which is coming from the models. We have it instance created, and now in here we're gonna say that appdb contest dot chat dot add. Then we're going to add the chat. So from that, await appdb contest dot save changes async. We save the changes. So we're saving it here, and now this is get. So let's have public async task, and there's going to be a list of chat. And now here we're going to say get chat async. And now with this, it maps up to await appdb contest dot chat dot to list from entity framework call to list async. Okay. Now let's register in the program.cs file. So in here, builder.services.add scoop. Then let's add chat repo. Okay. Now once you're done with this, let's create our controller. So before we do that, we have to expose this. So let's add a controller service. So dot add controllers. So we add controllers, and we have to map the controller down here. So app.map controllers. Okay, so we map it like this. And aside from doing this, we have to create controllers folder. So let's add this and say this is controllers. Now let's add a controller to this. So API empty one, and you're going to say that this is chat. So in here we can still use primary constructor, and we need to add chat repo. So we need an endpoint here, since we just need only an endpoint for the client to consume. Okay, but for saving, we're going to implement it in the hub. So let's have http get, and here we have our public async task. Now this is coming from an action results, which we can also have a list of chats. So, and in this we can have a look at get chat. So get chats async, whereby this map up to okay, then await chat repo dot get chat async. This is what we are doing. Very simple. Now in order to save the chat, let's go to the Netcode-Hub, and now in here let's inject the chat repo. Now this is going to be made possible since in the same server. Okay, we can use the repo, but outside the server we have to use an endpoint. So here we say chat repo, then chat repo. So before we save, we're going to say that await chat repo dot save chat. We pass in this chat model. That is all. Very simple. Okay, now aside from that, let's consume this. So before we consume this, let's restart this service before we forget. So let's go to program.cs file in the client service or the client project. Okay, and now in here we have to register an HTTP service. Okay, so that's all we need. If we don't do this, we might forget it. Alright, but I'm not working on the client now, so we can still close it. Okay, so in here this is working. Now let's run this and see. So you can see that we have the app running, but I want to open the database, so we need to install DB browser, SQLite, and click on open database, and that is the database that we created to open this. And I click on browse data. So you can see we have an empty one in here. Okay, now we're going to test and see. When we add, we must see the data or the message in here. So let's say we have hi. This is not hi, it is Fred, and I'm going to say hi. So as soon as I click on send, it is here, and when we come to our data and I refresh this, you can see we have it in here. Let's open the next one. So the new one is ready. Now let me extend this in here. Okay, so here it is, hi Fred. Now here I'm going to say this is Netcode. I'm going to say hello. Now if I click on send, I have this in here. Now let's check the database. So you can see that here we have everything, right? This working, and we have to then display it in here, because if I copy this and the third person tries to access this, the page becomes blank. But when you check the chat, we have about 2 chats in here. We are not saying when you open this, you check the message from the route API/chat. We have this chat in here. You see that we have these 2 chats. So it is up to us to consume this and display it on the screen anytime a new user joins. Okay, so let's implement that. Now let's go to the chat page, and now in there, since we want to call the database, when the page loads up, we want to actually have it in the code, okay, the file. So we are not going to implement, we're not going to use this class for now. Let's write it within the code. So here from the chat page.razor, we are going to specify this down here. So instead of this, using this service, we can get rid of this. We want to all the time make some things simple as well. Okay, so for now, we want to clear this code, and let's see, we have to remove this. Okay, so we need to, when the page initializes, we know what we need to do already. We have to create our hub connections and a list of chats. So here we can specify these guys, and here we have our chat, we have a hub connection, then we have a list of chats. When the page loads up, you want to build a hub. So in a very simple way, we can build the hub in here. So after building the hub, what can we do? We have to bind up to the message that we're going to retrieve. So what is a message, or what is a method that we're going to retrieve? You know, that's a receive message. So when you check the chat hub, it's going to call this method, so and pass in this model as a parameter. Now here we are going to retrieve it. So from chat page, you're going to retrieve it in here. And now when we retrieve it, what are we doing? There's a payload, so that's a chat. We adding it to the list of chat that we have in here. You see, it is very simple. Okay, it's very simple than using the class to handle this. That's the reason why we are not using the class. You want to make this project simple one for you to get the understanding. But the class, we're going to use this later on, so don't worry. Okay, we have to inject our connection string on top. This is our connection string, and that's a navigation manager on top. So let's inject it in here. Okay, now this is solved. So after adding the chat to the list, we have to start. So Control KD. We have to then start the connection. Okay, so in order to start the connection, we have to have just a line of code, then we can now start. So once we start, that is where we want to make an endpoint API call. So let's create an instance of an API, not the HTTP. Then we're going to use this HTTP call. So let's have this call. Okay, so you can see that we have in the list. This is going to return a list of what? Chat, and we are getting from JSON as a list of chats. So there is a localhost, there's a port, API, route, and now we have the controller name. Okay, so we have this in here. And aside from that, we can test if our connection is in order, and that's what we did. So from the end, we can check if it's connected, and also we have to make a call to that method in the hub, and that is a send message. So you can see from here, what you're doing here is we send a message, we call this method, we pass in this property. Is it property? And this model as a payload. When it comes to the chat hub, this is a method that we are sending. It also broadcasts it to everybody, and the current user has a method receive message. So we also pass in the same message, what is sent to all clients. Then this message, when it comes to the chat page, we are receiving this message in here from the method. There is a payload coming in. We add it to the chat of list, and then we rerender the page to get this displayed. When we make a call also, we're going to now add, we're going to assign the list of chat that we have in here onto this chat list. That is when the page initializes. Okay, so we can be adding multiple chats. The next chat that we want to, we can add. So this gets assigned and displayed at the first time. Then the user can now, because since we are adding, the user can now be adding more to this chat, so we can display, we can see everything. That's a very simple thing that we are doing. So when you compare this and using the service, I think this is much more easier to understand than the service. That's why we are using this for now. Okay, so don't mind, the service will be there. We're going to be using it later on. So since we are now going to use the service in here, we have to remove this service, and also from this we want to check from the list of models as container that we have, and we have to also remove this because we have them from this page. Okay, now let's save this and let's run this application and check it out. Alright, so let's see, it is opening. Now let's start everything again. So I'm going to say this is hi Fred. Then I'm going to say maybe this is a good day. So I'll just start a conversation, and it is in here. Then this is Netcode. Okay, so then I'll say, oh, good day, how are you? Then with this, let's see. So we have these two conversations here. The next person joins, and now let's check it out. So I'm going to copy this, go to the next page, paste it here, and now you can see we have the message. And maybe this person is, so you connected. This person is maybe this is you, right? So this is you, and you want to say that, hey everyone. Now check it out, send it, and now we get it. The next person joins from this angle. Now let's see, it sees everything, so you can read all the messages. Yeah, alright, so that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next one, the next feature that we're going to add to improve this chat. So I'm going to catch you up again. Till then, take care.